Coming up on Mountain News at 6, Congressman Hal Rogers pays a visit to one eastern Kentucky county to announce funding to help with improving water infrastructure. And local officials are responding after a former fire chief with one volunteer fire department in Pike County pleads guilty to theft charges.
Temperatures right now are in the 60s and 70s, but when will the 90s make a return? Details in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Officials say funding for a $40 million water infrastructure project in Buckhorn is nearly complete. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox tells us how they were able to secure the funding and the impact this could have across Perry County.
Leaders gathered in Hazard City Hall celebrating a goal many have worked toward.
I have been writing grants for the Buckhorn Water Treatment Plant and the transmission line project for probably about 7-8 years now.
Hall says at least 11 grants have secured funding for the $40 million project. One recently announced was a more than $10 million grant from the Economic Development Administration. U.S. Representative Hal Rogers described the announcement as heart-throbbing.
Spent a lot of time selling federal agencies on the beauty of East Kentucky.
The Hazard Water Plant serves many Buckhorn community members several miles away. Buckhorn Mayor Simi Bowling says community members are excited about a new source.
And today is a giant step for not only our community but the region.
Officials say the project can make an economic impact.
It's going to allow us to attract new businesses, allow us to create new jobs, and retain existing jobs in Perry County.
The $10 million grant alone is expected to allow 100 jobs to be retained. In Perry County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
The Economic Development Administration grant will specifically go toward a transmission line from the Buckhorn Water Plant to the Coalfields Regional Industrial Park. Senator Mitch McConnell released a statement about helping secure the more than $10 million for water infrastructure improvements in Perry County. He said, quote, "I'm grateful to see these federal funds help upgrade this essential service to the community and set the stage for future growth in the region. My top priority remains to help our state rebuild and ensure the people of Eastern Kentucky have what they need from the federal government." And speaking of Senator McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader was in Lexington today for the Commerce Lexington Luncheon. That event took place at the Hyatt Regency Ballroom. Senator McConnell talked about a number of topics, including the presidential race. He says it's important that people can find topics that both sides of the aisle can agree on.
Now, as you can imagine, I think none of my members were too happy to see me standing by Joe Biden up in northern Kentucky.
McConnell commended the current administration for being able to get the work done for the Brent Spence Bridge in northern Kentucky after the Trump and Obama administrations were unable to do so. 2 people are now in jail accused in the death of a 10-year-old in a moped crash on Interstate 75 in southern Kentucky. Police say a Corbin man was drunk when he rode on the interstate with his girlfriend's daughter with him. An SUV crashed into the moped, killing the 10-year-old. The girl's mother is facing a complicity to commit murder charge. And as WYMT's Phil Pendleton tells us, she's claiming her innocence from jail.
I didn't see him.
Denisha Martin is dealing with her 10-year-old daughter's death. All the while, police say she was complicit in her murder.
It's hard because I'm just thinking, hey, it's the summertime. There's kids that's younger than her on mopeds. I'm not thinking, oh, this is dangerous, something's going to happen.
But on Sunday, August 4th, police say her boyfriend, Darius Wade, was drunk when the moped he and Martin's daughter were on crashed while they were on Interstate 75. In court papers, police say Martin claimed she knew of Wade's drinking problem. She tells us she felt like it was safe for her daughter to go with him.
I'm just thinking she's going to have fun, she trusts him, and she's been through a lot in her 10 years. And it took her a while to start trusting men again.
Police say Martin knew of Wade drinking 3 beers before an event on the 4th, and 3 more during that event. Police say they and fire personnel could smell alcohol on him while working the crash scene.
When me and my kids got home that night, He was not drunk. He was not acting drunk. I spent time with him, so I know the difference between when he is drunk and when he's sober. And when he left that house, he was not drunk.
Wade was treated for injuries he received in the crash, then was arrested and charged with DUI and murder. Martin says her daughter had a close relationship with him.
And he was one person that she trusted.
10-year-old was going to be a 5th grader this year at Hunter Hills Elementary School in Corbin. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Darius Wade said he did not want to talk to us from jail. A Laurel County man is facing charges after he reportedly punched a woman in her eye and assaulted her. Sheriff's deputies responded to a domestic violence complaint on Sunday at a home approximately 1 mile away from London. Deputies noted that the woman had a visible eye injury. Police later found Johnny Dale Markham hiding in bushes around a fence line. He was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. Kentucky State Police troopers are looking for a man who escaped from the Rockcastle County Detention Center. Here's a picture of 41-year-old Justin Witt. He is described as being 6 feet 2 inches tall with brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information, you should call KSB Post 11 at 606-878-6622.
What a day. My goodness, what a beautiful day across the area. Temperatures were in the low to mid 70s, had lots of sunshine, low humidity, and right now temperatures are still in the 60s and 70s. 64 is the current temperature in Wise, 10 warmer in Irvin, 73 in Moorhead. Ashland's at 75, 72 is the current temperature in Hazard. And even though it's nice, still substantially warmer as compared to yesterday. 7 degrees warmer in Pikeville, 5 degrees warmer in Prestonsburg, 2 degrees warmer in Jackson as well as Hazard, 6 degrees warmer in Harlan, and that warming trend is going to continue throughout the day on Thursday. Live pinpoint Doppler radar showing a clean sweep from top to bottom, left and right, and this is going to get a break as we go throughout the next several days until we get to about Wednesday. We'll go to 62 by the 11 o'clock hour, mid 50s by the 5 o'clock hour, and that trend will continue by 7 a.m. And when you wake up in the morning, we'll see temperatures in the 40s and 50s, mid 40s towards Manchester, upper 40s towards Wise and Clintwood, otherwise 50s from Grundy to Prestonsburg to Hazard over towards London and Somerset. Now the 90s are going to make a comeback, but for how long? I'll have that answer in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. FEMA says it will not restore all disaster-related property losses, but will cover basic needs following storms that happened in some counties back in May. They say they will cover things such as appliances, clothing, and home furnishings. To be eligible for these items, they must have been owned before the severe weather, which happened between May 21st and 27th. The item also had to be owned and in use by occupants of the household. When a former firefighter was caught up in a fraud scheme, officials in Pike County had to adjust some of the guidelines for funding. WYMT's Buddy Forbes shares the impact of the indiscretions.
Pike County officials say a former fire chief from Blackberry has left a stain on the volunteer service.
It's despicable because in many of our communities, most of our communities, the fire departments are the people we turn to.
Christopher Chapman was indicted by a grand jury in April and pled guilty to theft charges last week after court records say he funneled more than $76,000 from the Blackberry Fire Department.
We were really shocked that this happened, but we wanted to make sure that we were taking steps to make sure that if anything comes up again, then we're going to be able to withhold funds.
The funds were part of 2 grants from the county meant to purchase new turnout gear and equipment and fund repairs on the building. But Chapman admitted to encouraging the department to purchase the items through his company and then use the money for his personal purchases.
We were really taken aback by the fact that that this individual was not removed as fire chief immediately. So hopefully this will send a message that if you're not taking care of your business, don't expect to get county funding.
So the county acted early on. Judge Executive Ray Jones says as soon as the information came to light through a Fire Service Commission audit, they drafted and passed a new ordinance to better control the money that goes to the departments.
But we have a responsibility to make sure that the people who are receiving that public funding are spending it properly.
And though he has yet to hear any updates from the department since the guilty plea,
I have not been contacted, but they're not going to get any county money, unfortunately, until we see that there's some changes have been made in the management of the department.
Jones says he is hopeful that this is the last time they have to deal with the pure disregard and disrespect of the service and needs of the volunteer departments. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
As part of his plea, Chapman was ordered to return all of his equipment to the fire department and pay restitutions for the crime. Knott County School Superintendent Brent Hoover has announced he is retiring from his position later this year. Hoover has been with the district for nearly 30 years in various roles. He says the decision to step down was a deeply personal and emotional one. He sent a statement to WYMT last night about his decision to retire. Here's part of that. Quote, "I want to express my deepest gratitude to the entire Knott County Schools community, our students, parents, teachers, staff, and community members. Your support, collaboration, and dedication have made my years here truly fulfilling. I'm confident that the future holds great things for our district, and I look forward to seeing all the wonderful accomplishments that lie ahead." His retirement is effective on October 1st. Kentucky's new education commissioner is laying out his goals as he starts his first school year in charge of the Board of Education. Dr. Robbie Fletcher says his office will look into potential changes to how the state uses money to fund schools. He wants to see a better balance between property poor and property rich districts. Dr. Fletcher became education commissioner in July after spending a decade as superintendent of Lawrence County Schools. Kentucky is one step closer to having another cut on state income taxes. The current individual income tax rate is 4% in Kentucky, but in a post on social media this afternoon, Kentucky Senate Republican Chris McDaniel said the state's budget has met the necessary requirements for an income tax cut down to 3.5%. If approved by the General Assembly, the new rate of 3.5% would go into effect for tax year 2025.
All right, here's a look at the weather headlines for today. A smidge warmer for tomorrow. Lots of sunshine is in store and a hot weekend. We'll talk about that in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes.
And Ohio Valley Wrestling is coming to Eastern Kentucky. We'll hear from one of the co-owners about the event.